Hey everybody, this is Joe. I just wanted to come on here before this episode starts and let you all know, just a friendly warning. This episode and all of the episodes going forward of Life is Strange are going to have to start with me coming on here and giving you a bit of a content warning. This game is incredible. Amy and I have loved playing it and are going to continue to love playing it, but we want to make sure that all of our viewers are safe and happy and healthy while watching us play this game. So if there are things like abuse or suicide or things like that that are going to trouble you and are going to make it so that you cannot enjoy this game or you cannot be safe watching us play this game, we're going to ask you to please click off of this episode. We love you all and we want you to be safe, so please be aware of that. And if that is something that you are okay with, as I said, the game is incredible, so hopefully you do enjoy. And either way, thank you all so very much. What's going on, everybody? This is Joe.
And Amy.
And we are back with another episode of Life is Strange. Last time, again, actually for these last two episodes, we've kind of left in the middle of a big production because we're in the middle of Chapter 5. We're getting towards the end here. We're in what Amy has called Max's subconscious. Yeah. The game hasn't really given it a name yet. They've used the word nightmare a few times, but not necessarily about this whole thing. But yeah, we're going to be...
Yeah, I mean, every sentence that gets said about Max by someone who's not Max, or even by Max, as we saw ourselves in the diner, is all things that only Max thinks about herself.
Yeah, and it's
nothing that anyone else in her life thinks about her.
And it's all negative and disparaging, and it's supposed to be, you know, self-esteem breaking or whatever you want to call it. So, yeah, so here we are. We've gone through like every character basically that we've met in this game. And then, as Amy said, we met up with Max, and now we are talking about Chloe, or dealing with Chloe. So let's see what...
I know it was your birthday last month. This was my real father's camera. I want you to have it.
Yes, of course it's cool. Thank you. This camera is so sweet.
Now that we got that mushy shit out of the way,
I feel like stage diving. Let's thrash this place.
Yep, I'm fucking insane in the brain. Let's dance! Shake that bony white ass. Or take my picture with your new camera.
Okay. These are true flashbacks. I remember that dialogue.
Yep, exactly.
This song fucking rules. Can't dance, hippie? Come on. Rock out, girl.
Yo, turn it off! Turn it off! You need to hide now. My stepdad will kill me if he finds you here. You were here today, Max. You saved me. I'm still tripping on that. Seeing you after all these years feels like... destiny. If this is destiny, I hope we can find Rachel. I miss her, Max. What the hell is this?
Snowflakes? Or a storm is coming?
You can actually see the
Max?
snow.
Yeah.
Start from the beginning. Tell me everything. Let's talk about your superpower. Epic! I pledge allegiance to Max and the power for which she stands. You can rewind time, Max. That's fucking insane. We have to play.
You need a sidekick to guide you.
Okay, Girl Wonder. Show me the way to Chloe's cave.
Now we're in the junkyard next.
Yeah.
Welcome to American Rust, my home away from hell.
Raw and rough. It suits you.
Max, do you know how awesome this is? I get my best friend back, and she's also supersized.
I don't feel so super.
Max, here, let me help you find a place to chill. You freaked me out there. Do you feel any better now? You saved me again. Crazy.
Oh, God.
Now we're totally bonded. bonded for life. Since you're the mysterious superhero, I'll be your faithful chauffeur and companion.
My powers might not last, Chloe.
That's okay. We will. Forever.
I'm so glad you're my partner.
Almost to the lighthouse.
As long as you're my partner in time.
Nice.
I might get on the other side of that door before you, Lupin.
The race is on. See you soon. Welcome to my domain.
You are magic. I have no clue how the hell you got in there, but you did it, sister. Max, you better come check out these files.
It's not a drawing. Look. Rachel in the dark room. Rachel in the dark room. Over and over. That's it. No, you are not taking the cozy chair.
Max, do your powers include mind reading? Or did you just rewind because I tried to steal the chair? Shit, I'm confused.
It's the powers of best friendship. I know how you roll.
Whoa. The hell?
Cowabunga!
Oh.
Why, look, an otter in my water. Your power is changing everything, Max. Especially you. I can already tell. You're not so chicken shit anymore.
Thanks, girlfriend.
Nice.
And you make me feel like I have a reason for still being in Arcadia Bay.
Let's call it a draw. I'm gonna freeze my ass off when I get out.
You look cute with your hair soaked in chemicals. Hide! Hide! You can't go back to your dorm now. You're a Blackwell fugitive. Crash at my place tonight.
I wonder if it'll have the kiss.
Photobomb!
Photo hog. It feels like a different world from yesterday.
We left a skid mark on Blackwell last night.
Wish we could just hang out all morning like we used to. Maybe we should get up. I have to get back to Blackwell soon.
I double dare you. Kiss me now.
There it is.
Damn. You're hardcore, Max. Now I can text Warren and tell him he doesn't stand a chance. Unless he's into girl-on-girl action.
You're such a dork.
And again, well, what's next?
Oh, we could cruise everywhere in this bad boy. Can you see us heading down the coast of Big Sur and beyond?
Frank's RV.
I know. Just daydreaming. It makes me ill that Rachel posed like this for Frank. Wrote him love letters. I can't believe she was banging Frank. Rachel straight up lied to my face. Why didn't she say anything?
Because she knew how you would react.
And she wasn't much of a friend, huh? Just another person who shits all over me. Why does everybody in my life let me down? My dad gets killed, you bail on me for years. My mother gloms onto step fucker. Now Rachel betrays me.
Almost there.
Yeah, we're getting there.
Until I see it first. You know the rules, Dad. Dude, I am so lucky that my father is cool. Max, you are being so fucking strange. You feel okay?
Chloe, I am awesome. We are awesome.
That's when she saved the dad.
Yeah, I know. I know exactly when it is.
It's weird hanging out with you again.
I know. I'm glad we are, though.
But the worst thing you can do is treat me like a baby. I still want to laugh and talk shit with my best friend. Can we stop? This is seriously the best view of the sunset. What do photographers call that?
The golden hour.
Just floating. Yeah,
Yeah, it's,
just floating in midair.
yeah. There are a lot of pieces of debris floating in midair.
Yeah.
I'm guessing because there's a hurricane.
So badass in our pirate gear.
We should have taken over Arcadia Bay when we had the chance.
Listen, Max. My respiratory system is failing, and it's only getting worse. I've heard the doctors talking about it when they thought I was zonked out. So, I know I'm just putting off the inevitable while my parents suffer along. And I will too. This isn't how I want things to end.
What? What are you saying?
I'm saying that being with you again has been so special. I just wanted to feel like when we were kids running around Arcadia Bay and everything was possible, and you made me feel that way today. I want this time with you to be my last memory. You understand?
Chloe, you're back. I'm so glad you're here.
You sound high, but thanks for the morning growth. Since we were up all night playing CSI Arcadia Bay, I was still spaced out here trying to put all the pieces together.
God bless you.
Sorry.
It's okay. Thankfully, this is all repeat stuff.
We've heard it all already.
The first. All those rooms are filled with other victims. Victoria has to be next. Nathan must be planning to dose her tonight at the Vortex Club party.
Rachel. This can't be real. These are all post shots, right? Right? The junkyard. Max, we have to find that spot now. Then we can see what he did. There's no way she's dead. No way. She posed for those pictures, Max. I know it. Please, let's go.
Ugh, is the next one us in the junkyard finding her?
Yeah, it looks like it.
Rachel? Oh, Rachel, no, please not. Chloe.
Is
I'm sorry, Chloe. I'm so sorry. I loved her so much. How can she be dead? What kind of world does this? Who does this?
oh great, that's just gonna be here now, I assume.
Come on, Max, we're almost there.
Oh, that's
Please wake up.
yeah, that's just what's happening now.
Max, come on now. Don't worry. We'll be okay.
Oh, did she just boop into herself?
I hope so.
Yeah.
Max, can you hear me? Please say something.
Chloe? I must have passed out.
Oh, thank God. Don't you ever do that again, okay?
I swear. But that nightmare was so real. Was so horrible. This is my storm. I caused this. I caused all of this. I changed fate and destiny so much that I actually did alter the course of everything. And all I really created was just death and destruction.
Fuck all that, okay? You were given a power. You didn't ask for it. And you saved me. Which had to happen. All of this did. Except for what happened to Rachel. But without your power, we wouldn't have found her. Okay, so you're not the goddamn Time Master, but you're Maxine Caulfield. And you're amazing. Max. This is the only way.
I feel like I took the shot 1,000 years ago.
You could use that photo to change everything right back to when you took that picture. All that would take is for me to...
Fuck that.
No. No way. You are my #1 priority now. You are all that matters to me. I know. You prove that over and over again. Even though I don't deserve it. I'm so selfish. Not like my mom. Look what she had to give up and live through. And she did. She deserves so much more than to be killed by a storm in a fucking diner. Even my stepfather deserves her alive. There's so many more people in Arcadia Bay who should live. Way more than me. Don't say that. I won't trade you. You're not trading me. Maybe you've just been delaying my real destiny. Look at how many times I've almost died or actually died around you. Look at what's happened in Arcadia Bay ever since you first saved me. I know I've been selfish, but for once, I think I should accept my fate. Our fate, Chloe. Max, you finally came back to me this week, and you did nothing but show me your love and friendship. You made me smile and laugh like I haven't done in years. Wherever I end up after this, in whatever reality, all those moments between us were real, and they'll always be ours. No matter what you choose, I know you'll make the right decision. Chloe, I can't make this choice. No, Max. You're the only one who can.
Okay. So, you have a choice to make here, which sucks. And I'll fight through the tears enough to be able to read it off to you. Not that you can't read, but I'll read it anyway. Amy, are you sacrificing Arcadia Bay, or are you sacrificing Chloe?
We're sacrificing Chloe.
Do you want to talk about it, or you just want to do it and see what happens?
Talk about it? What do you say?
I just mean, why are you choosing to sacrifice Chloe? I'm not disagreeing, I'm not agreeing, I'm just asking you why
It's not
that's...
a choice.
Okay.
It's not.
Okay. Ready?
Yeah.
Max, it's time. Chloe, I'm so sorry. I don't want to do this. I know, Max, but we have to. We have to save everybody, okay? And you'll make those fuckers pay for what they did to Rachel. Being together this week, it was the best farewell gift I could have hoped for. You're my hero, Max. Oh, Chloe, I'm gonna miss you so much. I'll always love you. Now get out of here, please. Do it before I freak. And Max Caulfield, don't you forget about me. Never.
Oh, good. It's not making me do the stupid minigame for it.
It's cool, Nathan. Don't stress. You're okay, bro. Just count to 3. Don't be scared. You own this school. If I wanted, I could blow it up. You're the boss. So what do you want?
I hope you checked the perimeter, as my step-ass would say. Now, let's talk business.
I got nothing for you.
Wrong. You got hella cash.
You don't know who the fuck I am or who you're messing around with.
Where'd you get that? What are you doing? Come on, put that thing down!
Don't ever tell me what to do. I'm so sick of people trying to control me.
You are going to get in hella more trouble for this than drugs.
Nobody would ever even miss your punk ass, would they?
Get that gun away from me, psycho!
The gun's pointing at Max.
Oh, yeah, kind of. It's interesting, right? That dialogue didn't mean a ton at the time. Tired of people trying to control me, no one would miss you. But it means a lot now. David's arresting him. That headbutt to Warren becomes him, I guess, being interrogated by the police. Max and Chloe becomes Mr. Jefferson getting taken away.
Yeah, they interrogated Nathan. So
Yeah.
they found that out.
Oh, and this is her, I guess, explaining things to them. Joyce giving her pictures. She got to go back to the lighthouse.
Yeah. Oh, she's got Chloe's ashes.
That's what it looks like. It
She's in black.
could be, yeah. And like dressed up nice. I was gonna comment that she was wearing a dress. Or a skirt or whatever. I thought it was snow, but it's just pollen. It's Kate.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not going to do it on camera, but by God do I have to blow my nose. I just don't think you people want me to do it right in front of this microphone. It's Joyce and David in the front. sure this is copyrighted, but this is a cool song.
Yeah, it is.
Warren doesn't have a black eye anymore, obviously. Makes sense.
It sucks that he can't go closer.
Well, he's still a drug dealer, and they don't know how he knew her.
Right.
So. There's that butterfly. Holy crap. So, Amy.
Achievement unlocked.
Yeah, we finished Chapter 5, or Episode 5, aka the entire game. What did you think?
I think this game is very good. It's good at saying things we don't say.
Okay. So, you said that choosing Arcadia Bay over Chloe wasn't a choice. Is that because of the number of innocent people who would have lost their life, like just the town being destroyed and all those people? And
Well, it's partially that. The other half is, like I said, with William. How many people have told us specifically as people that if they could go back and bring back the one person that they lost, that they would do that?
yeah, how many people know the exact date or whatever where like they feel like they could have made an impact, you know, the exact moment or whatever, like in this particular story?
But think about the ramifications it would have if everyone right now who felt like that
Yeah,
did that.
you're right. You're absolutely right. And it's kind of inherently selfish to think that you should be able to be the one person who gets to go back and get somebody for yourself.
That's not selfish. That's
Well, maybe naive then, like to just, you know.
it's human.
Yeah.
I want that.
Yeah. Yeah, death is a real thing, and it's so interesting, right? For someone who would arguably, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but someone who would arguably say that, you know, before this game and a couple of other games on this channel that we've played, that you really didn't play video games, you really didn't understand video games.
No.
But this type of a game, while still a game, is also just another way to tell a story.
Yeah.
Right? And some games don't really have much of a story. Like there's parts of games called story mode, right? But sometimes that's just like, I'll use an example, and I'm not trying to throw this genre under the bus, I'm just using it as an example, but where the story is those guys are the bad guys, we're the good guys, shoot the bad guys. You know what I mean? Like, and that's basically the extent of the story. This story, this game, this story showed you multiple characters. It showed you who they were as people. And obviously with Max, we kind of got to mold how she grew throughout this game.
Yeah.
But in playing through this game, you interacted with characters. Principal Wells, Nathan, Victoria, Chloe, Joyce, David, like Alyssa, like all of these people whom we then saw in the diner, right, of our mind at the end, who were talking to us. And it's so interesting that that's how they ended, is that in your quote-unquote nightmare or subconscious dream there at the end, you go through the diner and see all of the people who will be affected, and they ask you not to kill them.
Yeah.
And then they take you through every bit of your adventure with Chloe from start to finish. And then you're presented with you're presented with the decision,
whether you're going to kill her or kill everybody.
Yeah. Yeah. What do you think the split is on that? Were we in the majority for choosing Chloe? Or do you think more people chose Arcadia Bay? Or vice versa, but still, like whatever, however you want to put it. Do you think the majority chose what we chose, or are we in the minority?
No, I think we're absolutely the majority.
Okay. Okay. I don't remember, and obviously when I watched this game having been played was a very long time ago, and many people have had a chance to play this since. Okay. We will see, seemingly very soon, the decisions that we made and how that broke down. And we'll see what that means for us. So, yeah. Are you happy with this game?
Yeah.
This is going to be a weird way to phrase it. Did you have fun playing this game? Or I'll ask, were you entertained by this game?
I was affected by this game.
Okay. That's better, I feel like. Fans, thank you for your amazing support, art, gifts, passion, and crazy theories. It's been a great honor to have you dwelling in Arcadia Bay with us. That's from the developers of the game. And here we are, the majority, but only by that much.
Wow.
You decided to sacrifice Chloe 52% as opposed to 48%.
That's crazy. Wow. I guess it is a decision.
Yeah. It's almost a 50-50 split. It's one of the closest we've seen.
Yeah.
I think we've seen others that are 52-48, but I think that's the closest. I don't
Yeah.
think we've seen 49-51 or 50-50.
Now I really want to see what happens when you sacrifice Arcadia Bay.
You do?
Yeah.
Maybe you and I can watch a video off camera and see what happens. And we encourage you all to do that as well.
Because at one point I really thought when they went up to the, before the whole sequence and everything,
Sure.
when they went up and they were holding each other at near the lighthouse at the hurricane.
Down at the beach.
Thought, yeah. Before Max had to walk back into her body.
Right. Yeah.
I really thought they were just both gonna jump in.
Oh, okay, and succumb to it.
Yeah,
Interesting.
throw themselves into the hurricane.
Right.
Or into the water.
Right, and just
hope
get
that
sucked
they
up
would
or
get
whatever.
Sucked up by the hurricane. Yeah.
Interesting.
Thelma and Louise.
Fair point. Ready to look at the rest of the decisions we made?
Yeah.
David got a scar during the fight versus didn't get a scar during the fight. Apparently there's a way to not, but only 4% of people found it. David didn't kill Jefferson versus David killed Jefferson. Wow. 55% where he didn't.
Wow, that's real close too.
We saved the trucker, 60%. Nice. We saved Evan, 63. We saved Alyssa, 65. We saved the fisherman, 72. Oh, interesting. You didn't have to... Oh, I guess, okay. I guess it was the electrocution, and then you could have just left the building.
Yeah.
Okay.
But they didn't know what else to do at that point.
You helped Joyce believe in David again, or you didn't change Joyce's mind about David.
I don't really know what that's in reference to necessarily, but...
So Joyce and David and Frank were sitting together in the diner, and you didn't want to talk to them.
Oh, okay.
We talked to Warren instead, and so, if you look, you could have helped Joyce believe in David again, and you could have told the truth about Rachel to Frank.
Yeah.
But we didn't talk to them.
Right.
When we talked to Warren, we kissed him, which 68% of people did.
Yeah.
27 hugged him, and 5% didn't show him any affection at all, which is rude. So, yeah.
That was a kiss that I didn't deliberate on.
As opposed to the Chloe one?
Yeah. And that's why I was like, oh, I'm past this point in my life. Because, I'm so far past the point of having to deliberate whether to kiss someone. Thank God for that.
You're welcome. We have been together a while. And I appreciate that that's not a decision you've had to make in a long time. Thank you.
I will be the 5% that just don't show you any affection.
Yeah, Well, listen, I'm super glad that we got to play this game together.
Yeah.
I think that these are types of games that I kind of assumed that you would enjoy more, like character studies.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You get to meet these characters, you get to know them as people. And then in this particular game, you make decisions that affect their lives.
Yeah.
And some of them are very real decisions, right? Whether you kissed Chloe or not is not like a life or death thing, but
you're made to feel guilty for all of the decisions that you made.
No matter what, no matter which direction you go in,
right?
You kind of have Max afterwards being like, "Oh man, but now this is happening. I should go back and change that." And
not just that, but then you have that whole sequence at the end where you get guilt tripped for every decision you've made along the way.
Yeah.
And if you don't save all these people, you have to kill Chloe.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, you said it was not a decision for you.
Right.
And that's perfectly fine. For 48% of people, it was a decision.
Yeah.
And it was one that was made. And that's not to say that any part of the 52% didn't agonize over their choice to sacrifice Chloe, but yeah. That is Life is Strange. So we have played and are still playing. So if we may have gotten to a point past the point where our viewers have seen it, maybe don't spoil how far we've gotten, but does this game in your mind in any way compare to Pokemon that we played together?
No.
No. Why?
They're not comparable.
Okay.
They're too different.
But you enjoyed both in their own way.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I agonized over both in their own way.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Well, and okay, there were moments in Pokemon and moments that I know that our viewers have seen, like your journey through Mount Moon or the SS for example, or
Yeah.
Diglett Cave, where you could consider that part of the game any amount of frustrating and or difficult. Would that be fair to say?
Yeah. And frustratingly difficult to the point of really not wanting to do it anymore.
Right. Were there moments for you like that in this game at all?
Absolutely.
Really? Like
Yeah.
what? Can you recall any off the top of your head?
Yeah, I mean, there were lots of decisions that I made that I was just so angry that I was being forced to make them.
Okay, so in other words, they gave you an A and a... I remember this. They gave you like an A and a B option, and you were like, neither. I want this other option that seems
Like,
super
why
obvious.
can't I tell this thing
Gotcha.
what I would say? And
Right.
the reason is because, they can't, like, limitlessly program it to be able to, accommodate everyone's, eccentricities in their answers and
Right.
whatnot. But,
Right.
it's really frustrating to be given two very specific answers to choose from,
Right.
and neither of them are even close to what you would do.
Right. Okay. And, it's funny, decisions like that or things like that are what lead people to enjoy, like, role-playing games like D&D, because in those games, you can make whatever decision you want.
Right.
You're presented with a scenario and you're like, well, this is what I would do in this scenario, and you get to do it.
Right.
Whereas in these games,
And
you
you're only really limited by the creativity of your own brain.
right. And then
versus, the black and white options that they chose for you here.
well, right, because it's the story that the game developers are attempting to tell. That's
Right,
all.
right.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
And I mean, and the difference there is that you're held to the story there. Whereas a D&D game, you can veer from that story so far off.
right.
And so arguably, they each kind of have their own place.
Yeah.
Because if this is the story that they want to tell,
Correct.
it wouldn't be fair to let people come up with their own answers and change it too much, because then the story wouldn't get told the way it ought to be told.
Right. And it's funny because they're still somewhat comparable in that D&D lets the players be part authors of the story. But in this kind of a game, like, arguably you're a part author because you're choosing between those options, those dialogue options, those decision trees like this. Yeah. But whereas here they are 50-50 or 25% choice, whatever.
Right.
And in D&D, it's like limitless possibilities because,
Right.
like you said, it's just by your imagination. Do you, between those two, have a preference of, like, you being the writer of the story versus somebody else being the writer of the story, and you kind of playing through it but slightly influencing it one way or another?
I can't say I have a preference, and the reason is because in this there were plenty of times where I was angry with the only choices that I was presented with.
Correct.
But there are a lot of times in D&D where I'm not able to think of what I would do or what my character would do in such a situation.
Mm-hmm.
I very frequently get to a point where I would need the nudge of being given options.
Right.
Again, I think both have their place.
Sure. So it's no secret because I mentioned it earlier, but my God, the end of this game made me cry a fair bit. What about you? Did this game make you emotional?
Emotional, yes. Did I cry? A very small amount.
Just now, or a particular other moment that wasn't now?
I cried during the credits.
Just now?
Yeah.
Okay.
The sad parts of this game weren't the times when I cried.
Okay.
It was after the fact, the culmination of it all.
Okay, is that because the game was kind of enthralling you, so you wanted to give the game the opportunity to, like, you wanted to take the opportunity to experience what was going on, and then after it was over, you kind of decompressed?
No.
Oh, okay.
It's hard to explain. Being upset with the options I was presented with.
Sure.
Kind of stopped after a while, if you don't recall that.
Sure.
Right around the time where we were at the Vortex party
Okay.
is kind of like my last moment of clinging to this sort of belief that I'd be able to make a decision and change it.
Okay.
Once we left that Vortex party,
Yeah.
or once Victoria won the contest,
Right.
is when I accepted fully that the fact that the premise of this game is to change what's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
That was the point where I accepted that we can't change what's going to happen.
Huh. Okay.
The only way to change what's going to happen is by not changing it.
Gotcha.
The only way to make it go the way it was intended to go is to not mess around with it. Now, I
Yeah.
made that statement several times prior to that point. But if you watch these videos and listen to what I said, I made those statements because I knew they were true.
Mm-hmm.
I made the statements about not liking the options I was given or, cursing at what was happening because despite the fact that I knew that that was true, I wasn't okay with it.
Okay.
By the end of this, I was okay with it. By the time it asks you to make this decision, you decide to sacrifice Arcadia Bay or you decide to sacrifice Chloe,
Yeah.
the acceptance was already there.
Okay.
And that's why I was able to sacrifice Chloe.
And somewhat quickly, which is not a critique in any way.
Right.
It just kind of confirms your point, really.
Right.
Okay.
Again, as we were going through the game, I kept on making statements like, no, we're meddling.
Yeah.
And every time I said that, I meant it.
Yeah.
But I didn't know how much I meant it
Okay.
till the end.
Yeah. Okay, and so
Because it wasn't the time travel that was causing the climate change. It was preventing Chloe's death.
okay.
So once Chloe said, preventing my death is the reason for this,
Right.
I said, okay. The only thing that fixes it is to go back before I fixed things.
Yeah. Well, and it seems like even then, like then she just didn't even have her powers at that point, because her powers only manifested for the first time saving Chloe.
Right.
Not that she knew it was Chloe at the time, but saving someone's life, right? And so she went back in such a way that she couldn't do that anymore.
Right. And so kind of what we learn at the culmination of this is not just that preventing the death of Chloe was what was causing this eco havoc, but what we actually learn is that the reason why she was given the power that she was given was so that she could accept Chloe's death.
Okay. Because she then was given all that extra time.
She was given the ability to sacrifice Chloe. Because prior to that point, she couldn't sacrifice Chloe.
Right.
Which is why she didn't.
Gotcha.
She had to be able to get to that point.
Yeah.
And she wouldn't have been able to do that without all those other steps getting her there.
Fair enough. What are your thoughts on the writing behind some of these characters?
Meaning what?
Like, I made this comment to Amy in between episodes a little bit, a couple of episodes ago. All of the stuff with Mr. Jefferson in the dark room, all of those moments. Amy makes the comment about skidooing through photos. I wanted to skidoo through the screen. Like, the dude's not real, right? He's just a voice actor and digital animation. And I wanted to skidoo through the screen and just, like, punch him a lot. Like, not once. Like, just keep doing it.
Right.
And forever. And, like, just... like, until somebody pulls me off or I start just hitting the floor through him at that point, And I said to Amy, I feel like that's very... that, like, reeks of machismo and testosterone to me, which is very much not who I am, I feel like, as a person. But Amy was nice enough to correct me and be like, no, that's not machismo. Like, that's just
human nature.
Yeah. he's a real big scumbag and he deserves it. So, and there's something to be said for that. But I think that, again, I'll draw comparisons, as I tend to do, to other things in pop culture. Dolores Umbridge from Harry Potter.
Okay.
I believe she was in The Goblet of Fire.
This seems really tangenty.
Maybe The Half-Blood Prince. But when I read the book, she was the best book villain that I had ever read. Like, Voldemort had nothing on Umbridge. I hated Umbridge in that book by the end.
Okay.
Hated her. Because all of the things that she did were just so unfair. And you as the reader, especially, I guess I was at a young enough age where I was still in school or had just finished up with high school. And so I was, like, getting ready to, like, I was understanding of the plight of students having to deal with the fact that they were somewhat helpless against an administrator who was in charge. And not to say that we had bad administrators in school. That's not what I'm saying. But just the concept of, like...
But you had Mr. Jefferson.
Yeah, exactly.
No,
I
just
wish.
kidding. No.
I wish I had Mr. Jefferson.
Why?
Because I would have killed him. And it would have been great.
Nathan would have shot him in the bathroom.
So, yeah, Umbridge was so well written that to the point where I knew she was so well written because of how much I hated her. And she only existed as words on a page at that point, because this was before the movies.
Yeah.
So I'd never even seen a physical manifestation of her. She solely existed as a formed character in my brain, right? Like, the words were on the page, but visually she was only in my head. And yet here's a situation where Mr. Jefferson was written so well, like all those moments in the dark room, just like in my head, I'm like, that dude deserves to be dead. Like there wasn't a question in my mind. And it just, to me, that means it was such a good, a well-written, well-rounded characterization, right? We talked a million times about David, and you called it way early on. I couldn't tell you that, but you called it way early on that you were like, no, David's got a good heart in there. Like he's trying to do all these things the right way. And, you know, Chloe's not getting it because she's just assuming that he's whatever. And the game did a good job, I would argue, at throwing doubt in there. But also,
they're trying to make you kind of go all over the place with your list of suspects that you have in your head.
right. Okay. So speaking of which, let me ask you, of your suspects in your head, what number was Mr. Jefferson? Up until basically the moment that you saw his shoes in that graveyard.
Yeah.
Or not in the graveyard, in the junkyard, excuse me.
He was not super high on it. The thing is, they really, really shoved Nathan down your throat.
Well, that's because he
point.
was partially involved.
Right.
So it makes sense.
So I don't know how fair that question is.
Okay.
At the moment where we were sitting in the principal's office.
And you could choose Nathan, David, or Mr. Jefferson?
Yeah. Again, when you're talking about being presented with certain decisions, out of those three men, it would have gone David the least, Mr. Jefferson second, and Nathan first.
Okay. So Mr. Jefferson second because of his interaction with Kate that we saw?
No.
So what would have
because
just...
I knew it wasn't David.
Oh, okay. I got you.
But
so you were certain about David, but obviously you had no evidence one way or the other about Mr. Jefferson.
Right.
Okay.
And so... But I felt that we did have evidence against Nathan.
Right, which, again, we arguably did the whole time.
So I guess what I would say is if I'm looking at Arcadia Bay as a whole, that list would be different. But I would have to sit there and actually figure out what that list
Right, as
was.
opposed to just those three.
Right.
Okay, that's fair. Interesting. I guess just out of curiosity, and then we'll be done. Thank you all very much for hanging out with us as we break this down for ourselves, as well as for all of you. And please feel free to sound off your opinions in the comments below. Did you like our decisions? Did you not? I mean, obviously, even if everybody was like, no, you should have sacrificed Arcadia Bay, like, it's not going to make either of us say that, you know, Amy made quote-unquote the wrong choice, but
I would love to hear your rationale about sacrificing Arcadia Bay. I want to know why that's 48%. I have to know.
Okay. But yeah, that is, if you had to give this game, standing on its own, not compared to anything else, but this game and your experience playing this game, a letter grade, do you have one? Or like out of 10 or something?
No, I wouldn't do that.
Okay.
I don't think that's fair.
Okay, but it was good and you really enjoyed it.
It's universally impactful.
Okay. Was it a good game for me to have chosen for you to play?
Absolutely.
Okay.
The best. I mean, I don't have much to compare it to.
Right.
But,
That's fair. That's fair.
Well, now that we've played it, it doesn't make me hugely confident in what's to come. Because
Okay.
I feel I might try to compare it to this and nothing's going to measure up.
Interesting. Well, I'll tell you, I mean, I cannot promise anyone listening to this right now that I know what series will be next following this. Amy and I will have to talk that out off camera and figure that out. But obviously, it helps us out. But I'll say, stay tuned to the channel, subscribe, etc. Hit the bell, and you'll find out when that new series starts, which should just be next week, because we've been releasing these once a week, opposite our releases of Pokemon. So definitely check back in for that. But yeah, we're gonna... I can understand your thoughts of comparing this game to others, and I'll say that maybe I'll try to switch it up and give you something that's so different from this that, similar to my question to you about comparing this to Pokemon, it's not something that you'll necessarily be able to do because they're not comparable in that way,
right.
or similar in any way.
Right. Except that they're both video games.
Right.
Technically.
Exactly. Right.
That's really it.
Do you have any other final thoughts, comments, etc. on Life is Strange?
Life is strange.
Yeah.
The title.
Sure. What about it? Max said life is weird.
She did. She did.
She almost said the thing.
She almost said the thing. Death is hard, but life is strange.
Okay.
Or, no, I mean, I don't know.
You know, I have to say, watching through the end of this game, right, after we made our decision on this side, watching Max have to sit there and listen, not even just the fact that she doesn't save Chloe, but that she's trapped in that bathroom listening to Chloe get shot to death. And then when they cut to her funeral at the cemetery and they showed Joyce, God, I felt so bad. After William and now Chloe as well, like, thank God she had David. Right?
And I love that you just said that.
Why?
Thank God that she had David.
Well,
because not even halfway through the game, how many times did we feel like she should not have had David? Did we feel like that, and did Chloe feel like that?
Well, Chloe, I think, felt like that from the start because she hated him. But a little behind the scenes, because we don't have face cam yet, but Amy and I were holding hands during that scene at the end where Chloe is talking to Max and eventually attempting to convince her to sacrifice her. And Chloe says, even my stepfather.
Right.
And she pauses and actually calls him by his title because he cared about her. Right. And I will say that was one decision on your part that I understand, and you explained it well, but one that I vehemently disagreed with was when you chose not to tell David the truth about Chloe.
Oh.
I would have absolutely told him.
Really?
Yes, because he cares about her. He loves her. And so, yes, he would have been upset, but it would have given him an indication of the kind of man that Jefferson was. It would have told him her true fate. You know what I mean? And again, your reasoning behind it was perfectly sound, but I would not have felt that it was my place, especially if I were you and believed that he was good, right? Knew he was good the whole time, that I wouldn't have thought it would have been my place to to say one way or another that he didn't deserve to know. You know what I mean?
Well, the thing is, he would have deserved to know if that had been the way that it actually played out.
Right.
But because we were trying to prevent that from happening and trying to go a different way with it, it didn't make sense to tell him one eventuality that then didn't exist.
Again, like I said, I think your reasoning is perfectly sound. It's just that at the time I was very shocked. And it's funny, right? This whole channel, the purpose of this whole channel is for me to take you through video games.
Yeah.
And something that I learned partway through us playing Pokemon is I really need to let go. You know what I mean? Because, like, especially for a game like Pokemon, let's say, as opposed to this one, right? In this one, I watched it get played a long time ago, really liked it, like thought it was really cool to watch it, and wanted to play through it because I knew it had a good story, but I didn't remember a lot of it. Like, I remembered that it was Mr. Jefferson. I remembered that David fights him and saves us. I remembered that you have to decide between Chloe and Arcadia Bay. So I knew that those things were happening, but a lot of the minutia I'd absolutely forgotten. So going through that was not a big deal, you know, like, especially with, like, the puzzles and stuff. I didn't exactly remember how to complete them. But I knew the big beats, the Mr. Jefferson thing, the David beating up Mr. Jefferson to save us, and this last big decision here, which is those memories. And I remembered a bit of the junkyard as well, but those big memories were what made me know that I wanted us to play this. Whereas with Pokemon, I've played that game so many times. I've beaten it in so many different ways. And so to me, there's a particular way to play the game. And there are things that you, like, quote unquote, can't miss. Right? Like, things in the game where you're like, if you don't get this, it's just so much harder. Why wouldn't you get that? But you don't know that. And the whole point of the game is, or the whole point of the show is that you, like, I want you to experience these games the same way I experienced them. And with Pokemon, that was when I was like 7. Like, I was like very young when Pokemon came out, right? But I remember turning on that game, because again, this is something that the viewers have already seen, turning on the game in my cousin's house. I'll say to you so that we're not throwing out their names on blast, but my oldest cousin, he and his wife's house, sitting in their living room or their dining room, putting the game in my Game Boy, turning it on, and getting into Pallet Town. And just like you, I had no idea where to go. Now, of course, I didn't, yell, you're trapped, this is a prison, like you did. Which was absolutely a pleasure to experience. But I was so lost. I'm like, I've gone in all these houses, I've talked to all these people. What do I do? And then when I walked a little bit further north, which I hadn't really done, and saw that patch of grass, and I was like, oh, I guess I can walk up this way. And that's how the game starts. I had no idea what to do, though. So again, it's that kind of an experience where I didn't know back then how to play the game or what the right thing to do was, and neither did you. And for me to tell you that things that you were doing were quote unquote wrong was not fair. And so it helped me through playing Pokemon to play in this game. And when you make a decision like not telling David the truth, and I'm sitting there going, really? Like, and then I'm like, shut up, Joe. This is Amy's game. Like, let her play it the way she wants to. Because it would not have been drastically different, but it would have been different.
Right.
If I had played it, because obviously there's so many different options. Again, even just that example here at the end, I would have talked to Joyce and Frank. That's not to say that you were wrong for not having spoken to them, but I was surprised that you didn't, because I would have. But you didn't want to. You wanted to get to Warren and hurry up because the game was giving you that sense of urgency in that moment. I don't blame you for that. So that's perfectly fine.
And it told us time and time and time again that our rewind powers don't always work.
Yeah.
So if something is time sensitive, I'm afraid to take lots of time doing something else
Sure.
because I'm unaware of our ability to rewind and make up for that time.
Absolutely. So let's hit this exit button. If there is like another like little cutscene or whatever, we can watch that as we close this game. Otherwise, when it presumably just gets to the main menu again, we can do our closing from there. Are you ready?
Yeah.
That's it.
Nice.
Episode 5, Polarized. So this was the selfie in bed. Obviously, this was a picture that no one took, but, it was us on the train tracks. And then the original photo, the first one that started it all.
Yeah. I think it was great that it sort of ended just as it began.
Mm-hmm. Especially for a time travel-based game.
Right.
Makes perfect sense.
Especially for me, because if you recall, during that scene,
Mm-hmm.
I was very anxious about that butterfly.
Yes. I do remember that.
I knew the symbolism of butterflies, and that means death, essentially. And she got shot in that bathroom.
Mm-hmm. And then it landed on her coffin.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, everyone, I won't have to exit to the main menu. We can stop. We can do our closing on this awesome screen.
Yeah.
So,
and it's a blue butterfly because of her blue hair, I guess.
Oh, yeah, good point. Very good. Amy, genuinely thank you for joining me in your playthrough of this game. But your playthrough of this game.
And I'll say genuinely thank you for playing this game with me because, as you said, I have limited knowledge and experience with video games. And what I do have is not particularly life-changing. But this sure was.
Good. I'm really glad to hear that. I was hoping as much. And I also hope that there are many others that you feel the exact same way about. They will not all be winners. I won't lie to you. But, yeah. If any of you out there, I'll throw this out there now for those people who have stayed this long in this video, which God bless you. For anyone out there who has opinions on games that we should play, please feel free to leave them in the comments. I cannot promise you that we will definitely play any game that is suggested or even any game that is suggested by like a million people, but it would be nice to hear suggestions for games that I should try to I was going to say put Amy through. Have Amy experience or have us experience together. I think that would be cool.
This was definitely when you put me through. This is not easy.
That's fair.
Not
and
easy.
Right. And it's funny because there were moments I think I had completely forgotten about the Kate Marsh thing. Like you knew that she was depressed in one way or another based on playing the game, but I don't know that I remembered that she ended up on that roof.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and so that was awful. And so, like.
No, I didn't know until people came running in saying
Something was happening.
Yeah, that something was going down.
Yeah.
And I was like, shit, it's Kate.
Yeah. Yep. So, but yeah, like I said, a lot of that other stuff. I did not remember how shitty that Mark Jefferson experience was, but by God, that was terrible.
All of this was shitty. There was so much of it shitty.
Yeah.
So much of it shitty.
But here we are. And we made it through. And we hope that you all did as well. Whether, again, I've said this many times before, but whether you've watched just one episode or the entire series or somewhere in between, thank you so much for joining us on this journey. Yeah. I really hope that you enjoyed yourselves like we enjoyed ourselves.
Yeah, or at least got something out of it.
Correct. Let us know if you decided to download and buy and play this game because of us. That would be really flattering. Or if you played this game before and saw things that you didn't see in your playthroughs because we picked alternate routes.
Right.
And we would love to hear that as well. Anything, everything at all, down in the comments below. Again, thank you for liking, commenting, subscribing, ring bells, etc. And, yes.
Dare I say, if you want to talk to us about grief?
You can sure try. Again, we've mentioned before, we are definitely not professionals, but we would still love to hear from you and talk to you. But please do not use us as substitutes for professional help. There is no shame in seeking professional help. But in the absence, and if you're just looking for somebody to talk to, sure, leave it down in the comments. Everybody will be respectful and civil because we can police our comments ourselves. And so if something comes up, either we will see it or you can let us know about it. But either way, that is going to be the end of our series playthrough of Life is Strange. Thank you all seriously so very much for watching. Thank you, Amy, for this. This was a joy. It was heartbreaking.
Yeah.
But it was a joy nonetheless.
Yeah.
So, from us here on the Geek for All family of channels, I have been Joe.
And I'm Amy.
And as we always say, in whichever video of ours you watch next, we will see you all next time. Thanks, everybody.